Hi, everybody. I am Branden Sewell. I am the owner of Seal Pro Painting located in Central Florida. I am also the host of the Off the Ladder podcast, and we exist to help home service business owners learn so that they can lead well and ultimately live life off of the ladder. I'm here today with James. He's our guest, and he is with LiveSwitch. James, thank you for being here on the show today. If you could, just for the listeners, tell them a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you do now.
Yeah, Brandon, thanks for having me on. Excited to be here. Being someone who owned and operated a painting and power washing company for many, many years, I know what it is to live life on the ladder. And now I'm not living life on the ladder. And I've transitioned over to technology, and I'm helping a lot of our home service businesses continue to live their life off the ladder and do things in a progressive way because things have changed in the last couple decades from when I was running companies until now. And same with technology and crews and all that good stuff. But I'm excited to talk about the journey and all the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. So really quick, just to kind of dive into your background a little bit more. Where are you located? I see the Wolfpack helmet in the back. Are you from North Carolina?
Yep, I'm a North Carolina guy. I grew up in Durham, North Carolina, and now I'm located in Asheville, North Carolina. I've been here the last 13 years.
Okay. Have you ever been to or heard of Emerald Isle?
Yes, I've been there many, many times over my life. Yes.
Okay, that's where I grew up. So I think I moved there when I was like 8, something like that, and left there when I was a junior in high school.
Wow.
So spent most of my life in that area. So um, I have not been to Durham, but I spent a lot of time out in like Greensboro, Greenville, things like that, because I had friends who would visit from there to the beach. So met a lot of people over the years from out there. Um, but anyway, with your experience in the home services, if you could go over a little bit more in depth. So you said you had a painting company, pressure washing company. What did that look like for you? When did you get started? How long did you do it? Were you always in business for yourself? Did you do anything before that? And kind of make maybe help that break that down for the listeners on how you transition and everything.
Yeah, so they always say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So my
Right.
grandfather was a blue collar guy. His father died when he was young. He was 16 years old, and he had to drop out of high school to take care of the family. So he started working at a tire shop. My father, again, at home, came from nothing guy. Both of my grandfather and my father built their own homes, came from nothing. My father wanted me to be a plumber, and my grandfather wanted me to be a painter. So when I was able to graduate high school, luckily I graduated, I was able to start my company and get that going. Need to pay bills, right? And
Right.
when you come from nothing and you're not handed much, you got to go get to work. So
Hmm.
I mean, I literally started my company knocking on doors. I'd get out there and knock on doors and win jobs and start working neighborhoods I knew had money and were the size of home that I knew we could deliver on. And I apprenticed myself to other painters to really learn the trade, to do it well, and to do a good job from the first power wash, clean everything off, to the final walk around with the customer, and ended up turning into 2 crews. Did it for years, and while I was doing that, I felt like, well, the one area I was weak was around my bookkeeping and my financial side, and so I figured, hey, I probably need to go back to school, and while I'm running this, get my education. So state school at that time was affordable. Things have gotten a bit crazy recently, but I was able to go and get my accounting business degree and apply that immediately to my business and start working through that. And then things changed when I graduated, and it was just fortuitous. I wasn't even looking for it. It just happened.
Hmm.
Where one of my business partners, he was running a landscaping company and he was graduating from school, and he created a financial technology where you could take your income statement and balance sheet that you get from your bookkeeper, put it into the system, and it would tell you in plain language what's going on. Where I struggled the most, right? And he was
Hmm.
like, "Do you want to come and see if you want to make the jump over to technology? Basically, get off the ladder and
Hmm.
come on over and see if we can do this." And I was willing at that time to take a risk, and I did. We built that company from nothing. I mean, we worked at an incubator, and we grew
Hmm.
that company to Inc. 500, which means we're one of the fastest growing companies in America for 3 years, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar company. So
Awesome.
it
Congratulations.
was a good choice.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. So, you started in the trades right out of high school.
hmm
How long after you were running your own business and in the trades, on the ladder, how long after that did it take you to decide to go and get your degree? And how did, because I think a really popular topic right now, and especially around the topic of like student loan debt and all of that, people are like asking like, is our student loans and college, is it worth it? um and is it necessary? Or and then like there's this push for like people to go into the trades because there's such a need for the trades right now. So um could you just kind of talk a little bit about like what your experience has been, obviously being in the trades but then going and getting your degree, and how did that change things for you? And um do you think that um, these doors only opened for you because you went back to school and got your degree, or do you think that um, that was 100% necessary? And I guess what I'm just trying to get at is, what is your opinion on the necessity of that college degree versus just kind of bootstrapping it?
Yeah, I think it depends on your talent, right? And where, like, you have to, I had to self assess. Like, I just had to be humble. Like, where am I
Hmm.
strong? I'm good at hiring customers, selling, really good at that stuff. I didn't need to go to school for that. Like, I was born to do that. I was
Sure.
born to work hard. I know how to, get up on a ladder and get the thing done, and
Hmm.
then put my guys to work and find good people. And I wasn't scared to fire guys that couldn't get the job done and hire guys and take care of them. And that's just what I knew how to do, and where I came from. I just knew I was weak on the books, on the
Sure.
finances. And I didn't want to walk in, and maybe I was prideful. Like, I just didn't want to walk in to my bookkeeper and not know what they're saying to me. I wanted to
Hmm.
know my business. I was the owner. Like, I want to take ownership of that. And I
Yeah.
think nowadays too, I mean, there's a lot of help out there. You can outsource and delegate to different people where you're weak. You don't always have to be all things to all parts of your business. But I think for some
Hmm.
owners like myself, you really strive to be, because you want to lead by example in every area and really own the business. And I think if you're strong in every area, then there's no need to, I would say the best thing you could do is be in those mastermind groups, network groups, and, keep learning from, top people around you. But if you find that there's certain areas you're not getting that fed, from other folks, you're just going to have to hit the books. Like, I had to work on the weekends. I had to go to school at night. I had to, like, I mean, I was busting it, like, but I was young then.
Hmm.
I'm older now. I'm not sure I could do what I did when I was younger, but I did it. And I think just certain ambition and, like, I had to make my own ends meet, and take care of people and take care of, folks that were well older than me that were paying and put food on the table. It's a different
Hmm.
kind of pressure when you're going out on a weekend, going door to door, knowing you've got to book a job or two to fill the week up, or your guys aren't going to have work. It's just a different kind of tenacity. But
Hmm.
because sales came naturally. But yeah, I think for a lot of folks, you got to have good self-awareness. And if you don't know yourself, ask other people to assess you where you're strong, and then ask your team, like, where do I suck? Just get humble and then get to work, like, I know,
Yeah.
but I'm not sitting here pounding the table saying college is the be all end all, but it did for me open the door for tech, like, in getting into financial technology, and then where I am now, which is not financial technology. I'm in another technology. So I wouldn't have got into technology and where I am now if I didn't go back, to school. I think I would still be running my business.
Yeah. And I think overall, like just education in general is important. So like kind of one of the things that I preach to my listeners is like, hey, it's not a big deal if you don't go to college or if you dropped out, but be a lifelong learner. Like never stop learning, continually invest in yourself. If you have an interest in something, like do the work to learn it, like read, invest in that, and always be investing in your education. Never stop. I've known so many people, peers of mine, who have gone to college, they have degrees, and then that's like the end. They're like, oh, I'm done with that, like the time in my life of learning is over, and then they never pick up a book again, they never educate themselves again, they're done with it. And so I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make, is like think, oh, I've got what I need from school and now I'm done, it's time to like
Yeah.
chill and just
And
kind of coast.
And then you wonder why you can't break 7-figure or your 8-figure marks. You're like, well,
Right.
because you're capping yourself by not educating. Even yesterday, I hosted a virtual conference. In this case, in the moving industry, I had 500 attendees, all paying $100 a ticket, and I had 7 of the biggest thought leaders in the entire industry on there, and people were there to learn. And I don't let people get up there unless they're going to teach us. And my business partner actually runs Inmates to Entrepreneurs, where we teach thousands and thousands of incarcerated men and women how to be entrepreneurs. And it even turned into an ABC television show called Free Enterprise. So
Hmm.
education is at our core. It's, again, what we believe in, what we even paid to do, but now we provide it. Any industry that we're in, we want to give maximum value and get you really thinking about your business in different areas. I know we're going to get into it today, Brandon. I'm going to get everyone's wheels spinning. It's game time. Like we've
Yeah.
got some stuff to teach and
Awesome.
get you thinking.
Yeah. So before we jump into LiveSwitch, I want to ask this question because one of the things that I believe, when it comes to growth, when comes to like going to the next level or starting something new, that's challenging, whether that be a business or a service in your company or a new idea, a new marketing camp, whatever it is. I think the greatest thing to overcome is your mindset and what you believe. So I'm just curious if you could jump in really quick and talk about like the maybe some mindset shifts that had to take place for you going from being a home service business owner to going to school and then transitioning into what you're doing now, and what had to change for you, what perspectives change, what paradigm shifts did you have to make, and could you just speak on that for a minute?
Yeah, I think in order for your mindset to shift, you need to put yourself around people that have already shifted. Like you
Mm,
can't give what you don't have. Like if you don't, sometimes magically you don't change your mindset. Now, some people are able to do that and make the jump, like through a life experience or through hard times. Like I made a jump after a lot of people around me died. It changed my mentality, that life is short, and things like that.
mm,
But outside of that, when it comes to the business mind shift, put yourself around people that have made that jump, and imitate, and then ask for feedback and have your, board of directors, so to speak, or your, mastermind groups. And this is how
mm,
you're going to grow, or even bring people into your business that are very strong or stronger than you in other areas, because then you can learn from them and get a front row seat. So it can come from all different angles and facets. Again, back to learning, back to books, back to podcasts, back to anything that you can do, but it's gaining that wisdom and knowledge that others. Nothing new is new under the sun. Like there's no
right.
thing you're not going to create some magical new thing that change your mindset, But if
Yeah.
you want that change, you gotta put those people around you to help you.
Yeah, that's good. And just kind of on that topic of mindset, I would assume that there was probably things that you were not like 100% sure on or clear on, and there were risks and sacrifices that you had to make to make this transition and do what you're doing now. What inspired you, or what moved you to do that? And I know you said you had some, maybe people that were close to your family members that had passed and made you realize like the brevity of life. And so is that what really like fueled you to like make those hard decisions, those sacrifices, and go to do this?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely think death will change you. You know what I mean? And it'll
Mm-hmm.
put things in perspective on what is really important and what motivates you and drives you. And I think lots of different things drive us. Whether you're taking care of a family, whether you're trying to build up a business, whether you're just trying to get yourself to another level, whatever drives you, hold on to that. You know what I mean? For me, definitely the hard times in the past, but also nothing like having kids to change your mindset as well.
Sure.
There's a different kind of change. So all those things around me externally, like funneled through business and what I wanted to do business wise. And also I can be a dreamer at times and a visionary.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that I've created now were born out of my background from running painting companies and power washing companies. And the technology that was created wasn't even initially built for home services. I was actually in the middle of reinventing the 911 phone call with the chief of police in Washington, D.C. I had to think of a way to get a citizen connected from their cell phone, their cameras on their phones instantly connected, so you could point those video camera at the situation, at the issue, and it get streamed right to the police car. So I had to really, like,
Mm.
as an inventor, as a visionary, how did we do that? And I woke up at 3 a.m. one morning and sketched everything out. Then I worked with our computer scientist and built it and made it real. And then boom,
Wow.
it sets me off on a new trajectory. But it's just interesting. But I'm definitely a visionary and a forward thinker and a futurist at heart as well.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Maybe there's people who are listening to this, and when they hear you speak, it resonates with them. They're like, yeah, that's me. Here I am now. I'm running this plumbing company, this electrical company, whatever it is. But I have these big dreams, these big visions for my life, and they're like, hey, James, yeah, I hear you saying, like, get around these people and shift your mindset, and you want to get around people who have done that already. How would you encourage or direct these listeners to find those people to get around? Because I think that's a question too. Is who are they? Where are they? How can I connect with them? What do I need to do to connect with them? How do I get these people that I need around my life to take me to the next level? How do I get around them and find them?
Yep, there's a couple things you can do, especially at the beginning, and it's not going to feel like, if it's not your natural talent, not sorry. Like, people aren't going to come and knock on your door. They're not Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming through your chimney because, you deserve something. You've got to go out there and get it and put yourself out there. And putting yourself out there, there is a network called LinkedIn, which I know a lot of folks, especially in home services, probably don't even have an account. Right. But if you really want to find the people that are moving and shaking, you need to go make a LinkedIn account. You need to go get professional photos done, or I got AI to help generate my photos. And then put up your background, put up just who you are. And then what you're going to do next is you're going to look for, starting in your industry, you're going to go in and start searching, and you can even start in your state and look for people that are in your industry, and you just go and hit the connect button. Literally, you don't send a message, you don't do anything, and you only do this 20 times a day. If you do it more than 20 times a day, you'll get blacklisted from LinkedIn because they'll think you're spamming, but you're just trying to create a larger network. And in the beginning, for every 20 connects you do, you'll probably get 1 or 2, because people won't know you, won't have any connections. But if you do this every day, including weekends, when you start reaching out to people, you'll have 40, 50, 300 mutual connections. And when you reach out to somebody and you have 300 mutual connections, you know what the other person is thinking? Why don't I know this person already? Like, I should know this person. And they connect, right? And then you're going to
Mm-hmm.
share content, what you're learning, pictures on the job, like videos, customers. Like, start putting yourself out there. Again, if you're not willing to put yourself out there and you think you want to be a dreamer, it's not going to magically happen for you. There are no participation awards. That's just because you do this, nobody owes you a dang thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then you start reaching out. The next thing you can do is start going to conferences. I know it costs money, it costs time. You have to pick the right ones, and then you're going to have to be assertive. You're going to have to walk up to somebody and put your hand out and say hi and shake hands and let them know who you are. All right. Then you start making friends. How do you make friends? You try to give back a little bit through your knowledge, back to hitting the books, hitting the podcast, learning, being progressive, being on the money, like knowing, your company, being somebody of value. That's going to be the next piece. Like, do you really have something to offer? And if you don't, all you have to do is hit the books and hit the hard work. You'll learn through the way of pain, and that is okay. Like, that is how you're going to be tough. You get tough
Yeah.
by working hard. Then you're going to start creating that network and reaching out to people, connecting with them, getting on first name basis, start texting with them, asking what groups they're part of, join those groups. It's going to cost you time and money again, why? But again, if you want to put yourself, I hosted a virtual conference yesterday. I made the dang thing up a year and a half ago. And now I've got all the biggest thought leaders in the space on the virtual stage with me. They didn't know me from nothing. I was a flea on a dog. And
Mm-hmm.
I put myself out there. So it doesn't take 10 years, but it does take daily work, daily grind. And then you'll magically, you'll start having people around you, and you're going to be able to really understand and separate the meat from the bones. And you just start giving and giving and giving, and you watch what happens. But again, if you don't want to, don't sit there complaining on the couch, woe is me, if you ain't willing to get off the couch and get to work.
Yeah, that's so good. So two things I take away from there is like one, you have to be willing to put in the hard work. Like, even if you're listening to this now and you hear what James is saying, the reality is that the next thing is to take action, right? And you can listen to thousands of podcasts, read hundreds of books, like, learn, but if you don't ever actually take action, then it's going to be hard to really do anything of significance, and then have the boldness and the tenacity to connect with people, right? We're doing a job right now for this lady, and she's a multimillionaire, just very wealthy. And I was like, it was really uncomfortable for me, but I called her up and I said, hey, Miss Cindy, I said, I really hope this is okay for me to ask this, but I would really love for my wife and I to meet with you. I really respect you. And one of the things that I really appreciated was that she was very wealthy, but she was extremely kind. And I was like, I don't know. For me, sometimes that's a rarity. You meet some people who they have a lot of wealth, and it's just sometimes it's a turnoff. But she has a lot of wealth, and she's one of the most kind people I've met. And I said, I really would like to just get to understand like who you are as a person, how you've been able to create your wealth, and learn from you. And I was like, I'd like to just be able for my wife and I to take you to dinner and just, have a conversation. And so we were able to have a conversation. I was able to learn a lot from her. But I never would have had that opportunity if I wasn't willing to, like, you know, have the audacity to just ask a question like that. And it was uncomfortable. And I even told her, I was like, I'm being kind of selfish. Like I have to tell you, like, I want to be able to ask you questions and understand how did you accomplish what you accomplished. And so I don't know if you would take the same approach or if that would be something you recommend, but I was like, I just like, how else do I learn from a person that's accomplished what I would love to accomplish in life? And so I just put myself out there and asked. So
That's exactly how you do it. You were humble, you were honest, you were open, you were transparent, and the worst thing she could say was no. And
right.
that's okay. But what if they say yes? That's the thing. If you aren't willing to ask, you're not willing to get, right?
Yeah.
Again, that lady ain't gonna walk up to you and say, "Oh, Branden, I'd love it if you take me out to dinner with your wife, and I'd love to just teach you everything I know about business and how I've been successful." That doesn't happen. Come
Right.
on, that's not how it happens. But what
Yeah.
happens is someone having enough, courage to go up there. Have some courage. Take courage. And no one's gonna, you get rejected. Okay, that doesn't matter. Like
Right.
I'm constantly on the move. I don't remember the times I miss. I remember the times I make it. Like I was listening to Jack Nicklaus, he's one of the best golfers ever. And he was getting interviewed after he'd won like 6, huge championships. And they're like, Jack, you're the best golfer ever. And he's like, not really. And they're like, what? You're like, you've won everything. He's like, look, here's the difference between me and the next guy on a Sunday. When I'm walking down the course and I'm walking on the top group and I hit it in the woods, I just pop it back out and get back to playing. It's golf. Now, the other guys I play with, they'll pop it in the woods and they'll be thinking about that stupid shot for the next 3 holes, and it gets them off their game. Like, just let it roll off your back and move on. It's golf. Like, what's going to happen? It's sales. It's, fill in the blank. It's putting yourself out there to ask to, like, have a conversation. Like, who cares? But if you, at least he's out there, playing. So hopefully that'll help with some of the mentality. And Branden, I think your example is about the best as it can get when it comes to making new connections.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to just kind of dive into more of your background and answering some of those questions. Let's dive into LiveSwitch. So you've got this company. What exactly is LiveSwitch, and what can it do for home service business owners?
Yeah, like I said, we never intended to actually be back in home services, but we find a way. So we bought this company. It's a
Mhm.
16-year-old company. We bought it 4 years ago, and I was running our product team with engineers, and these guys, man, they would speak English to me, but I honestly couldn't understand a word they were saying at first. So they had to break it down to me like I was 5. I got to learning
Mhm.
everything, and then like I said, I got the opportunity to reinvent the 911 phone call with the chief of police in Washington D.C. to help start
Mhm.
using the cameras on the back of our phones to help with what's called situational awareness and next gen policing. We created that, and then I started thinking who else could use it, and I ended up meeting a guy who takes care of the Nashville Tennessee Titans NFL football team. 20 years in the FBI, and I'm showing him. He's like, James, this is all well and good. I love this stuff, but he's like, I got the stupidest question. Can I just text my guy across the arena, and he can show me when the trash cans fall over, so I don't have to hop in my little golf cart? And I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. Like it reminded me of the Nextel walkie-talkie from back in the day. I used to have one of those Nextels, and we'd communicate with the
Mhm.
team. And I was like, oh, this totally um, makes sense to me. And so I had a buddy, and I was telling him like I'm telling you the story now. And he was in self storage of all industries. I'm like, self storage. He's like, why don't you come and disrupt self storage? We're trying to manage all these facilities with less people, and that way it'd save us trips in the truck. And I was like, all right. So I started learning that. And in my ignorance, I called a company that said moving and storage on it because I said storage. And I was like, hey, maybe they can help me out. Well, I end up meeting a guy, and he's super bright, super talented. And he's like, James, it's not the same. We do warehousing, but he's like, you have no idea what you've got. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we're going to use that to do virtual estimates. Because the most expensive thing I do is I take an hourly wage worker, I throw them in one of my trucks, I'm burning up gas just in the hopes of getting the deal done. So now I'm just going to send them a text and they can show me the house. And most of the time I'll be able to close it. If not, I'll hop in the truck and at least I'll know if they don't have the money or if their tire kicking. And then we can use it here.
Mhm.
And he was so right. And that was like about 2 years ago. And now we have hundreds and hundreds of home service companies using electricians, plumbers, power washers, holiday lights guys, painters, all types using this video within their entire business, not just on the front end, but also in operations, customer testimonials, before and afters, claims, everything. It's been an incredible ride, and we are disrupting the home service business as we speak. And that's why I've been speaking all over the country about this stuff, trying to get business owners to start thinking about speed to lead and race to the face and getting in front of those
Mhm.
customers as fast as possible. Thank you, Amazon Prime, where we all expect the package overnight now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So it's funny, like we started doing a lot of virtual estimates during COVID. So when COVID happened, obviously everything shut down, and I instantly, like, I was like, I can't stop estimating. So I started doing them virtually just by FaceTiming customers. So I would schedule a FaceTime meeting or like Zoom meeting with a customer to walk through their project. So I mean, if you could you dive in and maybe share how LiveSwitch might be different than something like that, or how it integrates with like current software? Is there something that makes it stand out from doing something like a FaceTime call or a Zoom meeting or something like that?
Yeah, and FaceTime and Zoom during COVID is where this was born out of as well, just out of necessity, right? But
Hmm.
now that was never tuned up to do third-party assistance, remote assistance, selling. Like it was built for grandma to watch the kids blow candles out. This is why nobody's using it anymore. I don't want someone on my personal FaceTime, and that's not the right tool. It's like
Hmm.
painting a house with my hands rather than using a sprayer. Like I could paint a house dipping my hands in the bucket of paint, but like that's a joke, and nobody does that.
Sure.
That's why you don't hear anybody doing FaceTime to cash because
Hmm.
it's not going to work. So
Sure.
we actually do a reverse of a FaceTime call. Reverse. So first of all, we don't do any apps. Nobody wants to download another app. And when somebody calls you, say, "Hey, I want a house painted," you're not going to say, "Hey, can you download an app?" They can't remember their password. No one's going to want to do that. So now all you're simply doing is sending them a text, whether they're on Android or iPhone, and it doesn't matter if you're on a PC, a Mac, a tablet. We don't do apps, and we will instantly connect you point to point, and it's going to do a number of different things. First thing it's going to do on the customer end, they're going to see themselves large and you small, which again is the reverse of a FaceTime call because you're asking them to look through their phone and walk around the property, and you're going to be recording everything. You can take remote pictures in high quality, and they get to see your face, which is the most important thing. We call it
Hmm.
race to the face. No AI bot. Ask anybody, has your AI bot done any estimates and closed you deals? The answer will be no, it has never happened. And that is just not how it's done. And you ask anybody, how are you closing your deals? 99% of them, they're driving out, which is still
Mm-hmm.
very important. I'm not saying not to drive out. What I'm
Sure.
saying is when that phone call comes in or that form fill comes in, you are racing to get your face on to see their job. Because once you can do that, you can determine one, if it's an easy enough job, you may just bid it and close it, which would be great, right? Two, determine if it's worth your time to drive out, especially if you're going to
Mm-hmm.
start extending your serviceable area. Maybe there's a neighborhood you've always wanted that you just like, it's too far away to bid, but now you can start doing that. Three, it's recording everything. So now after you win the work and you're sending your people out there, it's like, oh, you bashed up all my gutters. And you're like, actually, let me check the instant replay. No, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't. In addition, as a business owner, if you have sales team members, you want to make sure they're doing a good job. Because if you have one sales team member booking at 50%, 70%, another team member booking at 20 or 30%, why don't you go watch the recorded video of that salesperson and how they're doing it, right? So, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just the beginning. We have forms now that after a form is filled out, a customer can tap it and also take a video even while you're sleeping in your bed. We have another place like on your website. You can tap a link and instantly you come up on the website with video greeting the customer right there on your website when they're scrolling on their couch shopping from home or from the office. Again,
Mm-hmm.
race to the face. We have recording things that can record before and afters, customer testimonials, virtual a walk around before the team even touches everything. And we have QR codes that you can leave on site. My painters love to put QR codes on the house, letting people know with branding. This is us. That way, if a new family moves in, I'm your painter, I'm your soft washer, I'm your power washer, I'm your deck guy. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're claiming properties. It is a
Yeah.
race. It is an all-out race uh,
Yeah.
for this, and you've got to think about speed nowadays and using technology to do that. So it's an entire platform. But if you're using FaceTime now, great. Just let's get ready to graduate a little bit from that into
Yeah.
something
That's
more
good.
pro.
Yeah, no, I like the features that you mentioned. So there's a couple things I want to dive into. Um, the first thing that I'm gonna, well, actually, let me put that last. Let's jump into breaking down how this can integrate with your current. So like I use Jobber. Many of my listeners are gonna use Jobber. I believe I've seen that it's an integration
Yep.
with Jobber.
Yep.
So how is that going to work with and integrate with the systems that you already have in place? Is there can it go into your form, like so like when you put your form on your website, customer goes into the form and they'll see something from LiveSwitch there. How does all that work together?
Yep. So if you have a LiveSwitch license, and you don't have to have Jobber, you can just use LiveSwitch straight on the platform. But if you have Jobber, all you're doing, we're integrated with Jobber. So if you go to the client file and you just activate your LiveSwitch, you're able to do that entire call. Like when someone calls in, you bring them up, you hit the call, send them a text link. It'll send them a link. It'll open up a browser page for you or right from Jobber, and it'll record the whole session. You'll do your preliminary call, or even if you want to do your virtual estimate, you do it right there. After the call is over, then it puts that video right there in Jobber for you to review it, share it, send it with the tech team, whatever. But it's right there through Jobber. You don't even have to leave. So, and we're getting under the hood of many others like Service Titans, and we're already under the hood of a number of them. And if you're in a unique scenario, we have Zapier integrations and these files. And what's beautiful about it is, let's say you leave Jobber for some reason, you're like, I don't want Jobber, I want this one. You take all of your videos, photos, and everything with you. So we don't just keep you locked into any particular CRM.
Nice. Now, I don't know if this question is going to make sense, but is this something where like your team could use it almost like so you're saying you have the ability to do the videos, the pictures, they go into Jobber. I'm assuming it like puts them automatically into like a client folder, if you will, or project folder.
Yep.
And then, so my follow-up question on that is, do you have the ability to use it ongoing throughout the project?
Yes. Yes, it's
Okay.
meant to go from end to end. So from lead to cash and cash to delivery. So after you've closed that business, your guys, you can put a QR code on your truck, inside your truck. It doesn't have to be on, it can be on a business card. And if any of your team members right before, it's like, guys, don't touch that house yet. Like, bring all the stuff, scan the QR code, and first do your initial walk around, eyeballing damage, making sure, letting the customer know, hey, we are going to preliminary walk around your property to make sure that that we're leaving your house better than we found it. And if there is something pre-existing, it's already going to be documented. What is this doing for you? Covering your butt, first of all.
Yeah,
That's
for
covering
sure.
your butt, right? Second thing, it's the beginning of your before and after. Right. It's and documentation. And you can have the guys do a walk around. It takes, a minute. They can do a walk around every day. So it's going to show a progress report the customer can see, especially if you have customers that maybe they can walk outside, but sometimes you have customers that you're painting their secondary home, or
Right.
customers away. You're now showing them the progress of that, and you're keeping them informed. Customers love to be kept informed. They like to be communicated with, and they also see project. It builds that trust, builds your credibility. Again, reducing those claims and letting them know, wow, these guys are built different. At the end of the job, you're going to do your final walk around. You're going to do your customer testimonial. Google and all those value having real photos and real videos. You get ranked higher, right? You're asking them not only for their 5-star review, you're putting their before and afters and their photos up there, and you are going to be triggered higher without having to pay Google an extra dime, right?
Yeah,
You're going to
that's
have videos that you can download and put on your website, put on your Instagrams. Like, this is how you get more people knowing about you, making sure your trucks are loud. You've got, with your marketing all over them, making sure your websites have front and center. This all builds trust, and it's all very easy to do because all of your team members have a smartphone in their pocket. So just have them scan a QR
good.
code and get to work.
Yeah, so it's gonna essentially. I just want to make sure I clarify this. You're like your lead guy on the job for us painting. So we're painting this house. Lead guy has access to this QR code, and he just uses that to start, the video. Like, he could do it before, he could do during, shots progress, and then he can go back in each time. He can do like the walkthrough and a final, and then it all goes into the customer's file.
That's correct. And the other thing that can happen is now you're connecting your team, right? So as a
Yeah.
business owner, if someone's like, hey, boss, we got a problem here, great. You can send them a text, they tap it, and now they can show you your project managers. If you're large enough where you have multiple crews and a project manager, they can be monitoring multiple jobs. It's as simple as a text tap. Or if they say, hey, boss, I got a problem here, you just send them a text, and maybe you can't be available on the other end. Just say, hey, take a video for me, show me what's going on. That way I can see it, relay it to the customer, let them know what's going on, any safety issues, any concerns. Now you're getting eyes on every part of your business, the front end selling, the operational side to the customer. You're just taking advantage of now having, this technology at your fingertips. And we've
And
never had this visibility before.
is it a real time upload as well? So like, as soon as it's done, like let's say my employee videos the project, it's like automatically going to upload into to Jobber, to the
Correct.
profile.
Correct. We never store anything on anybody's device. We only store it in the cloud. In
It's
case something were to
cloud-based, right?
happen, someone's on a ladder, they're, taking a video and crap, they drop their phone, done. And nobody wants to sit there and scroll through all the photos of their family just to upload something to a website. That's not good. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's as you hit record, it's just going right to the cloud. Nothing
got it.
on device. Yep.
Never look. Okay, cool. So my next question would be, hold on, let me step back. This sounds very similar to Company Cam, but with additional like features of like being able to bid the job. It sounds like you get that capability where it would be a little bit different. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. From
I
company.
don't use Company Cam.
Yeah. Now, company cam's there for just a photo and a recorded video, which is great. I mean, that's a start. But this is the next level, right? We're talking about live video. You're not going to find live video in any CRM platform out there. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
We're only one of 4 companies that have this. Okay, there's a company in China. We have it here. Google and a couple others that are not in the trades at all and have zero interest in being in the trades. We are your live video, right? So you can get that live video connection. putting bells on websites where a person can pop up, or using QR codes to live connect. You can scan a QR code and live connect to the salesperson or to the owner. This is stuff that's unprecedented that you're going to have. So we stay in our lane. We're not a CRM, and in fact, that's why we're bolted under Jobber. We are going to be your live video, recorded video, QR codes. Like, we're going to start really attacking. So
Yeah.
the stuff that's been out there is great, but this is like the next generation, next level stuff.
Yeah, I think what I can see myself doing is creating like a complete separate option for my customers. Like, if, because I think you have two different types of people. Like, you have people who are like, I want somebody to come to my house. No, I'm not interested in doing anything virtual. And it's almost trying to like sell that idea to them. Because I've just been there. I've had to like tell people like, oh no, like we can 100% assess your job virtually and give you an accurate price without having to come to the job and see it. Um, so I've had to kind of sell people on that idea, but I think it would be cool if like we had just in our whole sales process an option to do it 100% virtually, you know. And I'd love to have like that as a designated just process of, you know, a portion of our bids get just 100% done virtually.
And you will. And it depends on, just at your uptick, your client base, but you're not going to have
Mm-hmm.
0% closed virtually. You will close a percentage virtually. Is it
Mm-hmm.
5%, 10%, 50%? It depends on you, your area, all of
Yeah.
that. What you're trying to do, more importantly, yes, virtual estimate, get the cash. I mean, skipping the entire trip in the truck is obviously awesome, but
Yeah.
you are trying to get your face to them as fast as you can, because it builds trust. Because how
Yeah.
many times have you had it where you book someone even the next day? I'll be out there tomorrow at 10 a.m. You call them saying, I'm on my way. And they're like, don't bother. We picked up someone yesterday.
Right. Right.
Right? You got to box people out. So that speed of like, nope, I saw
Mm-hmm.
Branden, looks like a great guy. We had a great conversation. In fact, he's already seen some of my project. And then also, you're trying to say who you're going to say no to. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah. That's
driven
good.
up and parked in a driveway and been like, oh, I know, good and well. You're like, I just wasted my time, money, and everything. And that alone, right? Which is why you can say to people, look, I totally understand, that, and we are going to come out and see you, but I need to see an initial look on your job to make sure we're the proper fit, because I don't want to waste your time, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, by me driving out just for you to find out that we're not the right fit. So if we can take a quick minute here for me to take a quick look at your job, that's going to help 1,000,000% for you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll change the language. You'll find a way. I mean, every time the owners have gone from, James, we used to drive out every time, to now we only drive out when we have to. Like, it's just like clockwork. It's just a new
Yeah.
motion. It's a new tool. Like, I went from, hand brushing and rolling houses to when the paint sprayers started coming out for the first time, I started, spraying. Now, we had some mistakes. We accidentally hit a roof a couple times, and that sucks. And we sprayed the wrong stuff, but it certainly cut down on my hourly, and my margins went up, and it was a new tool. And yes, we weren't comfortable with it at first, but we got comfortable with it. That's just the nature of it all. But the fact is, just like as easy as my paint sprayer was, this is like, if you can send a text, you can use this stuff. We train people in 5 minutes. This is not like change management. This is not acquiring a new CRM. When you first
Right.
learn
Sure.
another CRM, this is like 5 minutes and you're off to the races.
That's good. So one of the questions that I have, and I'm sure maybe the listeners are thinking this too, what kind of things are in place to mitigate issues with privacy, or, the situation where, a customer ends up um, revealing or doing like something's coming up that it's like, oh, okay, like I shouldn't have seen that, um or I don't want to see that. Are there any type of disclaimers that the customer can get or that are in place to kind of address those potential things up front,
Yep.
and maybe try to mitigate?
A lot of things. So first and foremost, this was born out of 911 phone call, right? So
Mm-hmm.
our stuff is SOC 2 certified. I don't expect anyone to know what SOC 2 means, but it means I can be used in the Department of Defense and see live action. That's how,
Mm-hmm.
encrypted and safe we have to be, because our
Yeah.
other large customers demand it. So you've got that under this. Second, you're in full control of the experience. So if a customer says you can't record me, you just click the little button that says record, and you're not recording. Like, hey, nope, there's nothing being recorded right now. I'm still selling live video, but I have turned off recording. And other thing, if something happens where like I shouldn't have seen that, you can go in and delete that. You can even pause the video if you needed to, but you have full control of deleting things, and it's all into your cloud. Nobody else can get into it but you. So we take privacy over and above any other kind of CRM, any other company in space is not going as far as we're going. But we just have to, because when you work with NASA and other Department of Defense, we have to have that. So we just pass it on.
So another question I would, just a follow up to what you were just saying is, so like, let's say I take a video, customer does say you can record. I see that thing that I wasn't supposed to, but I don't want to necessarily go back and re-record everything. Is there an ability to like split and splice and cut out a certain portion of it, or no? Or would you need to re-record?
You can download it, delete it off the cloud, and then do what you need to do with it if you need to cut stuff out. Okay. We're talking something that rarely happens.
Rarely would. I think it's good to maybe ask. I'm sure.
No, like, it does happen. So you're gonna. But yes, you're in control of those things, and you're in control of being able to do that. So we totally get it and understand it. And your worst case scenario is the customer's like, you can't have that. Okay, it's been deleted. But you know what? You've been running your business probably for 5, 10, 20 years, and now you got a new technology. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I mean?
Sure. So another question I had is when is there an ability to, or would you have a recommendation on this before let's say you schedule this meeting for the video or recording to take place with the customer? Is there a way to ask them in advance before it takes place if they're okay with recording or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you schedule a call, you can let them know, hey, I want to be able to, virtually assess what's going on. And it is recorded. Obviously, if you have any issues with that, just let us know and we can turn that feature off for you. But you can do it that way as well.
They have the ability to control that as well, or no?
Just in the back. Yeah, you're in control of that. So you're in control of taking remote photos. You're in control of recording. You're in control of sharing your screen to walk someone through a contract to try to get them to sign. You have all of these features. Again, this is why this is not a FaceTime call. You have all these features. It's built for remote assistance from the customer perspective and yours as well, and what you get to see.
That's correct. That's good. I think there's, so many ways that you could use this to make your business better. So would you be able to say, like, is there anyone that this doesn't work well for, or any situation that you wouldn't recommend this for? Anything like that?
Well, I mean, a lot of times when it doesn't work, it's just because your staff's like, I'm not doing it. But that's like with any new process, right? You want them to do a new process. We're going to do this way, and they push back. You have to explain the value. And once they didn't have to drive out to close something, you watch how fast your salespeople adopt it. Like, oh my gosh. Like I get people. Yeah. But yes, like people that are adverse to like putting themselves on a camera to win business, you need to question whether like, what's the big problem? Like what are we dealing with? Like you need to challenge. Sometimes you have to challenge your team, right? Like just because we've been doing something the same way for 20 years, I mean, things change. I mean, last I checked. So it doesn't work there. But you're opening up other things that you haven't thought about. Staffing. Staffing is tough. Now you can hire people in lower cost areas of the country because they can do everything remotely. You can hire virtual assistants overseas because I can connect two people point to point anywhere in the globe. And here's the thing. Your competitors are already doing this. You are not a first mover. This is something that you are already competing against. Right. So the fact is, if it doesn't work for you, this is getting used against you. Right. And as fast as you think you can drive out to somebody, and some days you can, and some of the companies are like, I'm going to be there same day. That's great. But it just takes one time of getting sick, takes another time of bad weather. Let it snow somewhere in the South. You're going to instantly be like, gosh, I wish I could do that. This happens to our customers. So it's having the right tools for when you need them, and, after hours bidding, extending your serviceable area. Like the list goes on and on and on. And we're talking about something that's like $5 a day. This is not like going to break your bank. In fact, I compete against your gas tank. That's what I compete against. How much money you're putting in that gas tank. That's what I compete against.
Right. Now, Is there anyone who like that you could speak to off the top of your head who's using this in my market?
Oh, in the Florida market? Well,
Yeah.
all kinds. I've got power washers in Florida. I've got self-storage companies in Florida. I've got painters in Florida. I've got holiday lights guys. I got lighting and permanent lighting guys. Like, it's already all over Florida.
Anyone in
So,
Central Florida? I'm just trying to figure out if any of my direct competitors are using this yet in the Central Florida area, like Orlando over to the East Coast. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Brevard County. You said you work with NASA, so my house is right across from um,
so
the
I was
river.
just in Orlando last week speaking, and it was a ton of painters and power washers, and we had people buying on the spot. I can't tell
Okay.
you that I know I've committed all of our painters in the Florida area to my memory. I haven't,
Mm-hmm.
but I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of customers. So you're asking me a question like I need to
Sure, sure.
hop into CRM and answer it later. But the answer is absolutely.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. Well, you'll have another customer soon. Because I'm not about that. I don't want to be not
Yeah, the
using
thing
it.
that you guys got to really recognize, and like the best part of my business was also the power washing side and any recurring revenue. Like if I painted exterior, I wanted to paint the interior, or I wanted that deck next, or I wanted to upsell, and maybe they weren't ready to do it at the time. But putting those QR, claiming that house with a simple sticker. We're talking about a 5-cent sticker that you print out with your branding, your phone number, and a QR code, and say, "Hey, any issues? Scan this and show us." Like
Hmm.
it is because that recurring revenue. Like I always want the
Yeah.
new companies, right? But our new homeowners, new businesses that are working that I'm painting and power washing. But I know it's that current customer base, and we forget about that. We're always on to next person. We forget that recurring revenue can be some of the most powerful stuff. Like after I used to
Yeah.
power wash and stain a deck, I would say, "Hey, can I put you on my annual program where we're going to come out here and seal your deck at no charge, but you're going to pay me, $100 a year, and I'm your deck guy.
So you
I
did
own
that.
your deck." Oh yeah,
So I
100.
have a subscription for a service contract. So I have customers that pay me either monthly or annually, and we have like a list of services that we do. And it's just what you were saying. The whole reason I came up with that is I was like, as painters, I guess one way of thought is like, okay, I painted the house. Now I'm done with that customer. But I was like, I'm missing out on staying top of mind with that customer, the people that they're talking to, the people they know, the friends they have over who are asking about painters, the little projects that come up here and there, or when they're selling the house or buying a new one. I'm missing out on staying connected to these people. And so I came up with the service contract because now I'm seeing these customers up to 2 times per year. And
Yes.
so it's extending the life of that client and keeping us top of mind with them longer, which gives us, greater opportunity. And it's the cheapest client to acquire is the one you already have. So,
Yeah. So here's what you do. Now I'm going to take your service. I'm going to enhance it right now. Okay.
yeah.
So as you sell that, someone gives you, money. You're giving them some kind of contract, or they sign off on something, right? And then maybe you're
Yep.
giving them a business card, which is great. We're going to enhance that leave behind. It's called a leave behind or a magnet. Now you're going to improve that leave behind as a sticker or like a postcard size that they can put on the side of their refrigerator with the QR code that says, "Hey, because you're part of my membership, anytime you have an issue, you just scan that QR code, take a video of the job that you need done. It comes right to me, and I'm going to review that, and I'll send a guy out." As we come out every 6 months, if I can, I try to teach my sales guys how to seal a deck because it takes 10 minutes. And so they're going to knock on the door, say, "I'm here for your service. I'm going to go seal your deck right now." If they're not good at selling, we have something where you can take a cheap Android or Apple tablet, and that person who's going to go seal a deck and do the walk around can hand the tablet to the individual, and they just hit the go button, and it routes right to your salesperson or you, the owner, and you'll say, "Yep, I've got Johnny on there. We're doing your service. While he's there, is there anything else we can be taken care of? Have you thought about redoing any of the rooms in the house? Have you thought about an update here or there?" It's all about upselling, but again, back to getting that face, building that credibility, and enhancing that membership program, because recurring revenue is a liquid gold of your business, and you've already identified that, Branden. You're 1 or 2 steps down the chessboard, and everybody better be taking notes, because this podcast just turned into liquid gold for you. So you're
Yeah.
giving your secret sauce there.
Well, I've listened to but also I realized the hard work that it took for me to implement that and do that. Like it wasn't easy. I didn't have a lot of examples to go from except for industries that are already doing this, like HVAC and plumbing. Um, those type of services that have more of a subscription based clientele. Because HVAC and plumbing, they do, like, I'm part of one. I do an annual service, or every 6 months I have my AC serviced, and they come out. Um, so anyway, I thought of that. I've listened to like podcasts. I was like, why am I not doing this for my business? Like, it's going to increase the value. It's going to help me to stay top of mind with those clients and all those things. So yeah, it's awesome. But I love what you just said about the magnet. That's actually going to solve a huge pain point for me personally in my service contracts, which is that I have like a list of services that we offer. And one of the challenges that we've been facing since implementing it is translating which service they're choosing for that visit um, to my crew that's going to do it. So now what we'll be able to do is we can have the customer scan the QR code, show, hey, this is the service I want to do for this next service visit. It'll upload, and my team can just see, like, okay, that's what we're doing next visit.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I really like that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
coming right from the customer or your sales team, and they can play it at 2x speed. And then when they show up on site, they're not like, "What are we doing today?" Right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we told your sales guy. How do you not know? Like your
yeah,
guys are well prepared. They know what they're not doing too. Like, oh, I
yeah,
thought this quote included us painting the shed outside too, and you're like, that's
yeah.
that's not there, but we can do that. It's just you got to pay for it.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really good. I think back, like with you saying this, I think back to a recent issue I had with a sales guy where he told a customer that we could do something that we can't. So this would have eliminated that happening.
That's right.
Um, and I ended up having to pay for that. I ended up having to. I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I guess I didn't have to, but I paid for a subcontractor to come out and do the work that he said we could do because I was like, well, my sales guy said we could. I'll make it happen. So,
Yep. And there it is, front center recorded, guys. This is an example of what we don't do, which is perfect.
yeah,
And then the other things that happen too is as your team gets up on ladders and scaffolding, what your sales team couldn't see on the ground, now your team sees in the air, and you can send texts and have those folks, hey boss, we got a problem up here. Like this window was already cracked, or there's a bunch of like mold around the window frame we didn't see, and and that way the homeowner can see it too, and they don't have to hop on a ladder. And there's just the beauty of this. You're gonna just find how it weaves in everywhere, and a lot of people are like, man, I wish I'd had this years ago.
yeah, yeah. No, I really like everything that you're saying. I think that it sounds like a really amazing tool. Kind of help take everything to another level. So, well, I want to kind of start to bring this to a close. So I really, appreciate you taking the time to share about, LiveSwitch and share about your experience and how you've been able to achieve the things you have. As we bring it to a close, could you just really quick for somebody who's listened to this and they're like, okay, I'd really like to learn more about LiveSwitch. I'd like to maybe do a demo or find out how much it would cost to implement this into my business. Could you share some details on that for the listeners?
Yes. You can go to LiveSwitch, LiveSwitch.com, LiveSwitch.com, click demo. And in the demo form where it says, how'd you hear about us? You say, I want to talk to James. I listen to Branden, and you'll come right to me. And having run a painting company, power washing company, sometimes we'll get into not just talking about tech, but we'll be talking about all things business. And I'd love to connect with you. And then of course we'll get your hands on it. You can touch it, see if it's for you. And from the affordability standpoint, we're talking about something that's like $5 to $10 a day. So like we're not breaking the bank. We built this for guys like me who had 2 crews, small business. Like we had you in mind because we've done it. Like this is why
Yeah.
I want to on with you now. It's like, and why I speak like, oh, this guy doesn't sound like the typical guy, but like I'd love to talk to anybody, walk you through it, and I'm very low key, and would just love to get to know y'all.
Are there different tiers to the
Nope.
No, it's just
Nope.
one thing.
You
Okay.
just like Netflix, you can buy more users, and you're not going to buy this for everyone in your company, nor should you. Just buy it for a few, and you're off to the races. So, we'll walk through all that part, but it's unlimited use, 60-day money back guarantee. We don't lock you into stuff, and we got the integrations like with Jobber, and for us, it's just about getting this in as many hands as people as we can, and just changing the industry and expectations of your customers for what we do as a service provider.
Awesome. I believe Margaret had sent me a like an affiliate link to use. So if it's okay with you, I'll post that in our show notes.
Yeah, please.
So that anyone who's interested can use that.
Please do.
But yeah, so the way I usually wrap up is I just give you the floor if there's any last words that you'd like to share with the listeners, whether that's business advice or just maybe something we didn't get to about LiveSwitch that you'd like to mention or cover. The floor is yours to just kind of share any last thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you everyone for listening. You're already a step ahead of everyone else because you're listening to a podcast, right? The thing I would ask you to do is pay it forward and tell other people about, what Branden's doing here, especially in the ears of your team. Get your team listening to this. Like, bring up the next guy, right? You want to get off the ladder. It's called making yourself redundant. Any position I've ever had, I try to make myself redundant. That means really empowering my team, showing them the things that I do, like train. And of course, they worry, are they going to make another business that competes with you? Maybe, but that's not what you need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about your business and, making sure maybe you make them part owner. Maybe you give them more responsibility and you retain that top talent, you grow that talent because you're already so far ahead because you're taking the extra time to learn. But try to give it back to somebody else, bring up the industry. We're already struggling to find the next level of talent from the young folks. So we need to make sure to be passing that back. So that's my last kind of statement is, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for your hard work. You're making things better and you're protecting the value of everybody's home by the daily work that you're doing. So thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, James. And, kind of just to give some feedback on what you just said, I tell my listeners that I know how hard it is to run a business and I know the challenges that I face. And, so I always give back to the guys who work for me with the mindset that, hey, I hope if you feel like you need to go start your own business, like by all means, I'll help you. I'll tell you what you need to do to go start it. And if you're successful and if you're more successful than I am, then you deserved it because you put the hard work and everything into making that happen. But I have this like little belief in the back of my head that people aren't going to be willing to do what I'm willing to. I just think that some people like they may think they want to own a business or think they want to do that, but they're not willing to take the action that it takes.
Yeah. And if you're documenting all your processes, you're doing everything soup to nuts, this is called having a second location, right? And starting to build out potentially a franchise for what you're doing. If you're doing it right, then as long as you McDonald's it in the right ways, by doing proper documentation and training, it could be, they don't even have to go start their own. They can just join forces with you. So just start thinking about those things. Good. That's how comes off the ground. And that's how you go from doing 7 figures to 8 figures.
Awesome, James. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the value that you've shared with the listeners today. And please, if you're interested in learning more about LiveSwitch, check out the show notes. There will be some information there for you. And as always, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment, share your feedback. And share it with somebody else so that they can learn from this too. If you're listening on any of the major podcast platforms, please rate and review the show so we can get in front of more people and help more home service business owners just like you. And as always, thank you so much for watching this episode, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Off the Ladder podcast.